Welcome back to 8th grade STEAM. We have about 6 weeks to work on a couple different projects, and we're going to keep going from where we left off before spring break. And today we're going to look at adding dialogue to a project. On one side of my screen, you can see that I have brought up my Scratch project, the one that I had started previously, where we had added background and we'd added some characters. And now I'm going to make my characters talk to each other. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on See Inside. Open my project, and I have shared it already so that I can see it, and you'll need to do that so I can see it. And then I've already added a background because it's a previous one. If you're starting from a brand new one, make sure that you add in at least one background. And you'll find that over here. Have at least 2 characters that are going to talk to each other. And now I'm going to show you how to program in some conversation. So I am going to have my sprite Abby start doing the conversation. So what I need to do is, I need to bring over an event block because I'm going to have her start the conversation at the very beginning of my program. So I'm going to use a when green flag clicked block from the events section. Then I'm going to add a say block, and this is in the looks section. So I'm going to go to looks and bring down a say hello for 2 seconds. Now I don't want her to say hello. I want her to say something else. So I'm going to double click on hello, and I'm going to type in what I want her to say. In my story, these two are on vacation. They're eventually going to want to do some scuba diving. And so I'm going to kind of center their conversation around that. So I'm going to have Abby say, "It's a beautiful day today." I'm going to have her say more, so I'm going to just bring over another say block and then say, "What do you think we should do?" Okay. So if I click the green flag, we will see Abby say, "It's a beautiful day today. What do you think we should do?" If you think that's not long enough for somebody to read it, change the time, make it a little longer. Now, I need her to send that conversation to the other character, to D. So I'm going to go back to the events section, and I'm going to take a broadcast block. Okay, take a broadcast block, and right now it says message 1, but I'm going to click on that, say new message. Now I can type in all the words, but what I found is just easiest is to just call it message 1. Okay, all that means is that I'm sending my first message. So that's how I start. Now I want D to receive message 1. So I click on D. I click on the sprite that is going to receive the message. I'm still in the event section, but this time I'm going to say when I receive 1. So I would look here, it's already on 1. And then I'm going to have D say something. So I'm going to go back to my looks. I'm going to choose a say block again. And if I remember correctly, Abby said, "What do you think we should do?" That was the question. So I want him to answer that question. So I'm going to have him say something about, "It is really nice out." I'm going to say, "The water looks warm today." And then I'm going to have him ask her, "How about we go scuba diving?" Okay, so let's take a look again. Sometimes it's a good idea after each time to click that green flag and see if it did what you want it to do. Okay, I could read those all in that time. If I thought they were a little fast, I could change the time again. Now he asked a question, so it needs to go back to Abby. So I'm going to go back to the events. We're down here on conversation number 3 part, and I'm going to do broadcast. Now I can't leave it at 1 because if I leave it at 1, I receive 1, I broadcast 1, receive 1, broadcast 1. This is going to repeat over and over and over again. Okay. For example, let me show you what that looks like. So it's just going to keep repeating over and over because he broadcasts 1 and then he receives 1. So it just keeps going over and over again. So I have to create a new message. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to say 2 and call it message 2. I'm going to say, okay. Now, Abby is going to respond. So I'm going to click back on Abby. And this time I'm going to bring over that when I receive. But instead of message 1, I'm going to change it to message 2. Okay, we're on the 3rd part of the conversation here now. I'm going to go back up to those looks blocks. Because even though I'm saying something, what I'm doing is putting the words on the screen, so it's affecting how things look. And the last thing that Dee said was, how about we go scuba diving? So I'm going to respond to that. She's going to say, I would love to go scuba diving. And I'm going to bring another one over. What do you think we will see? Okay, because I want to keep this conversation going back and forth for a little while. And then she needs to send that message back to Dee. So I bring over another broadcast, new message. I've used 1 and 2, so this time I'm going to use 3. Say okay. And then I click back on Dee. Now we're down here to this conversation number 4. So when I receive 3, Dee is going to respond by saying, I hear there are lots of colorful fish in this area. And choose another one. Say, maybe we will even see some jellyfish. Okay, so let's take a look and see what their conversation looks like. Make sure I can read everything, that I don't need to change any times on any of them. So I'm going to click the green flag. Okay, now I think this one seemed a little harder to read. So I'm going to make it 3. If I'm worried that the conversation was pretty fast and I want to slow things down, I could change them all to 3. That's kind of up to you. Just make sure that your reader can, or the person who is using your program can look at all of the words before it goes on to the next one, or they won't understand your story. So I can keep going back and forth as many times as I want. I could bring in another character to do some talking, but this is basically what you need to do for this assignment. You need to create a conversation between 2 characters, and it needs to be back and forth at least that 4 times. So each one of them is going to say at least 2 different things. Notice that I didn't just have a single word or even a single sentence in my conversation. When we talk to each other, we don't very often just say 1 or 2 words and then the other person says 1 or 2 words and then you say 1 or 2 words. There's usually a lot more talking that goes on before the other person responds. So I want you to create your dialogue to kind of sound natural and be like people would say to each other if they were actually together. So this is what you need to do for this assignment. If you want to go farther or go on to the next assignment, you can. I would encourage you to add more dialogue. I know at some point I'm going to change the scene and they're going to be down in the water and there's going to be some talking that goes on down there. So if I want to move forward with that, I can. Um, Otherwise, that's all you need to do for today.